How do you do? Peer pressure is blamed for a lot of bad decisions, especially among young people. And there's no doubt that our friends influence us. But each of us must bear the final responsibility for the choices we make in life. And making the right choice is easier when the heart and mind and life are unshackled. Unshackled, dramatizing true life stories, is produced in Chicago by Pacific Garden Mission. Homes may be different today from what they were 100 years ago, but being homeless isn't any different. Then, as now, people without homes wandered the streets, looking for a safe place to sleep, a bite of food to sustain them, and some way out of their predicament. And then, as now, the fortunate ones came to Pacific Garden Mission in Chicago. The mission first opened its doors to the homeless in 1877, and the doors have never closed. As people in need kept coming, the mission services kept growing. Today, the homeless find not only a shelter for men, but for women and children as well. There they receive food, clothing, and medical and dental care, all without charge. And they also receive counseling to help make vital changes in their lives, changes that renew hope for a brighter future. And now for broadcast around the earth, here is program number 2112 in the series Unshackled. Most people are introduced to drugs through someone they know, a friend or family member. And because of the trust, it's easier to say yes than no to drugs. The man in our story began taking drugs when he was a teenager. By the time he realized that drugs were taking him, he was in a place where he didn't want to be. This is Michael Liimatta's true story of how he got there and how he escaped.
If addiction runs in families, I came by my addiction honestly because my father was an alcoholic. Both my parents' ancestors came from Finland at the turn of the century, and both had alcoholism in their families. We lived in Michigan. Like most children of alcoholics, my two brothers and I grew up feeling helpless and confused. We would lie in our beds and cry, listening to our parents fighting downstairs.
Stop it! I'll call the police if you don't get out and leave us alone.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my home.
Your home. I'm the one who works to pay the bills. You sit in bars and get drunk.
You started this, but I'll finish it.
Look what you've done. You've broken the chair.
I'll break more than that before I'm through.
Several times my father was arrested and sent to jail, but I was glad because I knew there wouldn't be any fighting and our home would be peaceful. But the peaceful times were few and far between. At school, I was ridiculed by kids who knew my father was a drunkard, so I was shy and awkward. Mom worked because Dad couldn't hold a job, but even so, we were sometimes on welfare. Although Mother wouldn't go to church because she was ashamed of Dad's drunkenness, she always sent us boys to Sunday school. Every year as the highlight of our annual Christmas program, I read the Christmas story. Listening to me, many people said I would be a preacher someday. In fact, I was teaching a Sunday school class when I was 13. Then, during the late 60s, things changed and I didn't want to go to church. My mother questioned my decision.
Why don't you want to go to church?
They're phonies. Last week some people got after me because I was wearing my peace symbol. They said it was a satanic symbol.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding. How could anyone be against peace when people are dying in Vietnam?
You shouldn't let something like that keep you away from the church.
You don't go. Why should I? Religion is for old folks or those who are afraid to face reality.
So I drifted away from church as I became more attracted to the hippie crowd. They were my kind of people. They wanted peace, and I had seen enough fighting in my home to know that I wanted peace too. But most of my friends came from troubled homes. One of them worked at a local grocery store, and we got together one day after he got off work.
Hey, Michael, I have a surprise for you.
What's that?
I snuck out with a bottle of gin.
No kidding. What does it taste like?
See for yourself. We're going to have a little party.
This is really fun. I haven't had so much fun in years.
Yeah, me too.
Now I know why my old man drinks. He gets mean and ugly, and it doesn't have to be that way. Look at us. You know, Pete, I hate my old man. He makes our life miserable.
Miserable.
Yeah. Sometimes I even hate my mother for staying with him. Then other times, I don't know, I feel sorry for both of them.
Yeah, my family's the same way. Here, have another sip.
Sure. Actually, I love my mom and dad. I just wish they wouldn't fight.
So that was the beginning of my drinking career. I was 14 years old. I thought the alcohol helped me deal with life at home. And from then on, I spent a lot of time driving around in cars, drinking. I was curious about marijuana, so I mixed some real grass from the lawn with some tobacco and told my friends it was pot. We snuck outside and smoked it, and they thought they were high. Shortly after that, my friend Pete knew a guy who gave us our first joint. Getting high was more fun than drinking, and before long, Pete and I were selling pot to pay for our habit. I hid the stash under the stereo in my bedroom, and one day my mother found it.
Michael, what is this stuff under here?
Oh, it's nothing, Mom.
Don't tell me that. It's drugs, isn't it? It looks like grass, but it's not.
It is grass. It's marijuana.
Marijuana? Are you smoking this?
I'm selling it for somebody.
We could be arrested, thrown in jail. How dare you bring this into my house? I'm going to flush it down the toilet.
No, Mom. Don't do that. That came from some really tough guys, and they'll beat me up or worse if that pot is destroyed. Let me have it. I'll get rid of it.
You've got to stop this, Michael. I won't have it.
Okay, Mom, but don't flush that. I'll be in trouble.
I was lying, of course. I continued to sell dope, but I was more careful at home. Unfortunately, I was not careful in my drug dealing. One day, I delivered a bag to a guy at a gas station who was selling to others. A few days later, he was arrested after he sold to a narcotics agent. So I knew the risks. Then, when I was 15, I sold some pot to a man with long hair and a beard who turned out to be an undercover cop. The next time I saw him, clean-shaven and with short hair, was in juvenile court.
Well, Michael, you have quite a reputation for a 15-year-old. Every time drugs come up in the area, your name is mentioned. In fact, the police wanted to arrest you and try you as an adult. What do you have to say for yourself?
Your Honor, I'm pretty mixed up. I didn't intend to be a drug dealer, but we were always so poor, I kind of stumbled into it, you know.
It's true, Your Honor. His father's an alcoholic who can't hold a job. I've tried to keep this family together, but our home has been a bad example for Michael. His dad is always drunk, and there's never enough money for what we need. Please, don't put Michael in jail. Give him a chance. He's still so young.
The court put me on probation with instructions to be home early and not drink. I ignored both rules. Being arrested as a dealer gave me more status in the drug scene. I became friends with a guy who owned a head shop and spent a lot of time there. Downstairs were black lights, posters, rock music, and all kinds of drug paraphernalia. Upstairs they sold drugs. This was a true hippie place, complete with LSD and mystical ideas. I loved it, One of my drug buddies and I hung out there a lot.
Oh, how do you like this stuff, Michael?
Woo-wee! Oh, man, I'm flying high. Angel dust is where it's at.
Oh, yeah. You know, Michael, I'm really proud of you, man, for not letting that drug bust get to you.
Hey, man, they slapped my wrist. Kitty court can't keep me down.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I know the right people, and I can get all the PCP we can sell.
Great.
You want to go with me upstate? We can make a bundle.
I was totally into the hippie drug movement, and my friend and I traveled all over Michigan selling PCP and other dope. Still only a junior in high school, I was a big league drug dealer, which gave me status. People recognized me and liked to know me. I felt so insecure growing up that feeling important was a new experience, and I liked it. On one of our trips, we were kicked out of a bar because I was underage, and we had to hitchhike 100 miles to get home. I got there at 4 a.m. and had to take my college entrance exams that morning. But I scored high and got a scholarship to Michigan Tech. The following summer, my buddy and I went to the state fair and set up a tent to sell drugs. During one sale, I felt strange, as if a camera was on me, but I was too strung out on drugs to care. Walking back to our tent, I saw a state patrolman talking into his walkie-talkie as he looked straight at me. All of a sudden, his red lights flashed on, and I threw my bag of dope at his car. He arrested me for selling drugs. The next morning, reality hit me like a ton of bricks. I was in jail. My parents came to get me.
300 miles we drove just to bail you out.
I can't believe you did this, Michael. Don't you know what you're risking? You already have a record, and now this.
How could you be so stupid selling drugs at the state fair?
Think of your future. You're only 17 years old, and you have a scholarship to college. Are you throwing all that away for drugs?
All right. Quit harping. I'm glad you came down to bail me out. I'll lay low and stay away from dope.
You better stay away from drugs or I'll make you sorry.
It's a little late, Dad, for you to change anything.
I was afraid of going back to jail, so I stayed away from drugs for several months. When my court date finally came, the judge put me on probation for 2 years because I was enrolled in college. Another slap on the wrist. Back I went to the head shop, right back to my drugs, and to the life I loved. While I was there one day, Frank came in. Frank was the original owner of the head shop.
Hey, Michael. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, you too, Frank. Well, what's happening, man?
Well, there's a rock concert next weekend.
Cool.
I thought you might like to go with us.
Sure, who's playing?
It's a group called The Revelation.
They're Jesus freaks.
Oh, yeah, but who cares if the music's good? Come on along.
All right, hey. If I get high, I can enjoy anything.
Michael was wrong about that, but it would be a while before he realized how wrong he was.